Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spectrum Drama, where we take a look at the hottest posts on Spectrum for the week and give our opinions on them. So, there you go. Perfect. So before we get started, don't forget that we have no giveaway at the moment, but we do have a G12 that we'd like to give away. So Brian E, come and take your G12, my friend.
Brian E.
Brian E.
Sounds like a South African nickname. Brian E.
Yeah.
No.
Brian E.
Isn't that South African barbecue, isn't it? Grant,
Well,
help me here.
Yeah. It's a bry.
Bry, that's it.
Bry. Hi, Bry. Come and get your G12.
Come on.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Let's get started. So, first up, we have a post from Shui. And it says, all the features temporarily removed from the roadmap, September 2020 update. This is massive, this post, and I will show you it right now. So there's quite a lot to it. But basically, the gist of this is there's an exhaustive list of all the features that have been temporarily removed from the roadmap since the introduction of staggered development in last September, and they still haven't returned. Now, Shui does disclaim that there's no salt or criticism here, as he knows that priorities change, all that kind of stuff, but, you know, hopefully we'll see some of them come back in 2021. So just like a couple off the top here, you know, we've got docking, which obviously now we've kind of seen a little bit of, but we've got the whole C, we've got NPC improvements for the shopkeeper, which we need so they don't keep saying, hi, take a look at my stuff, because that bugs the shit out of me. Salvaging, the Taurus, among a million other things. So there's a lot removed, and it is a shame. We hope to see it again. But on this list, Cryco, if you had to pick one thing off this list that they could give you tomorrow, what would it be?
Just one, yeah?
Just one thing, and that's all you get, my friend.
Give me salvage.
Yeah.
Give me some game loop. Give me some mechanics. That's what I want to see is mechanics. I don't care about flashy ships. I don't care about new solar systems, because they're just going to be as empty as the one we got anyway. So what's the fucking point? Just give me some mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we want. We want more gameplay. Yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain. And I mean, this list, I mean, it just goes on forever. And in fact, it goes on so far that they had to like add more in a second comment. So as you can see,
Oh, yeah.
In fact, just to point out the best little meme here. Look, Theatres of War. Early next year, I want to get it out. There's no reason to hold this back, right? We want to play this really, really quick. So I want to get it to you guys into it early next year. And here we are, almost early the year after.
I remember him saying that as well. I was thinking, oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a war, beginning of the year. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
what happened to that?
And I'll also point out that the first comment here with upvotes, look at this lovely, lovely picture of the Jag Hiroshi.
Oh, Jack's all over this episode.
Yeah.
That beautiful face. Gotta love it.
Oh yeah. And I like that as well. You made quite a good point about it would be worth having a list of things that have been added, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, look at this white knight, and you're like, come on. It's just logical.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't think even if you added those elements on, you know, the things that were added and put them in to have some comparison against, that it would, you know, detract from the weight of what Shui's trying to say here. I mean, you know, they've added a few things back in, you know, water texture, that kind of thing, whatever it was. But in no way does that counterbalance the huge volume of features that seem to have been put forward on the roadmap and then pulled. And I guess they reserve the right to do that. I mean, you know, the roadmap is an indication. It's not a cast iron guarantee, but that's a hell of a lot of things that seem to have vanished, and we don't seem to have a clear picture of when they're coming back. And the thing I find curious, it's one of the things I think about the roadmap, is we seem to have gone from this position of saying we're delivering things to suddenly they're kind of floating things past us. So there are things like the Hercules, Crusader Hercules, the Taurus, stuff like that. They're not on a roadmap. but we know they're in development. So what's going on? Leaves me totally confused, frankly.
Yeah, I think they're so far off them, maybe, or they're so much more complicated than they think that they don't even know, like, what year to put them in the roadmap, let alone, you know, what patch. Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
well, with this new roadmap coming up, can we even believe the current one now?
No.
Can we trust it, basically?
Yeah.
I think for the things that are coming up imminently, then yes, it's a good indication. But further out, nah.
No,
I think it's an odd thing though. The roadmap itself, what we see at the moment is a collection of things. What it doesn't say to me ever is how it advances the project towards the end goals. I would kind of want to understand how these fit into pillars and major milestones and things like that. Again, no sense. Here's a bag of bits that we're going to do, and we're pulling some of them and swapping things out. I just don't get it. And to be honest, the new roadmap mechanics, I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of shied away from it because I just feel like it's, moving the deck chairs around. To be honest.
Yeah. It's it always reminds me of, you know, them games that you used to get as a kid where it's like a bunch of squares and there's one square missing and you have to move a square in order to move another square to try and create a picture. Does that ring a bell to anyone? They're like a puzzle. That's essentially what the development is kind of like in this game, where they're just sort of moving bits around to try and make other bits fit and to try and make that picture as a whole work. You know, but I think, to be honest, I think what it is, I think they've got one too many pieces, so there is no space to move any other pieces around. So we've just got this really messy picture at the minute. You never know. I mean, maybe one day they'll just take out enough to be able to make some sense of it, but I don't know.
Well, they can't take much more out of it, can they?
Well, they could take away like a whole patch like we recommended and then just work on fixing the game. Or just like get their stuff, see, I look at me being all professional because normally we would record this and I don't say shit. But just get their shit together, and maybe kind of like do some more planning, future planning. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think as far as the amount of stuff that's removed? I mean, if you had to look at this list and kind of in order of, I don't know how you'd put it, but sort of like what you think's going to be the most recent thing we'll get, like the what am I trying to say? See, this is what happens when it's live and I can't think of words. Words. Think of some words, put them in an order. That's what I mean. If you had to look at this list and try and think what's going to be the most upcoming features that we're going to get, put back onto the roadmap, what would you guess? What would you think is the most sort of logical next steps for them? Anyone?
Then we'd have to read back through this mighty long list.
You mean you haven't prepared?
Yeah, but by the time you get to the end of it, it's Christmas and you have to go back to the start.
That is true.
I mean, there's a few here which you would think would be really easy, like abandoned rest stops for, whatever reason, put a mission there or whatever.
Yeah.
But you would have thought that would be quite easy. They keep telling us they got these procedural tools. They just, not exactly this easy, but press a button and a space station appears somewhere.
Yeah.
So how is that not been done?
Yeah, I don't know.
Repair, refuel, and restock. That's not been working for a year now.
It's gonna take ages.
It was working, and then they broke it.
On the opposite end of what you are asking, the one that's least likely to come out next is anything to do with AI or NPC until they fix all the T-posing that they're like, oh no, we fixed it, and then the pad over there, they are standing on chairs T-posing. So I don't think we're going to get any of those for quite some time.
No, definitely not. I think that it's a scary thing as well because they keep removing stuff and we understand why. Obviously there's no point having this like we've discussed this before, there's no point having this massively packed roadmap full of things they just know aren't going to get done. They might as well have a realistic roadmap, but it's scary when every time you go, oh, I can't wait for that new procedural asteroids, and then it goes, gone. Oh yeah, oh I'm can't wait for docking, gone. You know what I mean? All that kind of thing, and it's worrying, just to see all this stuff disappear. But hey ho. On the other side of things though, because we'll scroll back down and we'll look at Jag's message again about it would be worth having a list of things that have been added. Do you think that it obviously doesn't outweigh the amount of stuff that's been removed, but do you think that some of the stuff that's been put in can counterbalance some of the things we're missing, like salvaging and like these other things, or do you think that they are placeholders and kind of like, you know, band-aids over a massive wound?
There's some things coming up that I think are going to be quite nice. I mean, it is lots of band-aid things, but like, I mean, actually being able to control a bit of an inventory, which is supposed to be coming next patch, is nice. Improved throw would be great, not to just drop grenades at your feet and blow up. But the one thing that grinds my gears a bit is this year, if you've looked since Citizen Con, they've had the whole, this is the final iteration of Planet Tech and all of those things. And I don't know if it's just me being like extra salty, but have you noticed how constantly like locations that we want, like the rest stops and Crusader, sure, I get it, they're working on the gas giant, keep disappearing, but then they keep adding, okay, no, but we're painting it again. We're retexturing the moons again. Like, that's all we keep getting. I mean, if you look at 3.11's locations, we have repainting moons, updated ground texture, updated geology, which is, you know, fixing the shaders on the rocks. So it's a bit ridiculous.
Very visual heavy, isn't it, if you think about it? And going back to what Kryko said, I mean, let's face it, it's just a massive hole where game loops and mechanics need to be, and for whatever reason, and they're not communicating particularly well about it at the moment, they're failing to deliver that for us.
It's kind of like the whole community is going to CIG. Guys, stop making the game so pretty for now. Do that a bit later. Give us something to do. And they're like, right, we've heard you. We'll make the game more pretty.
Yes.
Yeah. I will play devil's advocate slightly on this one. I completely agree with everything you're saying, but there is the slight argument that you've got different teams working on different things, and Planet artists can't make a gameplay system mechanic, if you like.
Yeah.
But that's the only argument you can really throw out there.
Yeah. No. I get that view, and I completely understand that it is the different teams. I mean, which is why I would love to complain that they're adding more shotguns and grenade launchers, and I mean, that's a weapons team or whatever team that is, and other features missing. But like you said, I mean, it's different people working on different things. But for me, like, from just being like a bit of an idiot and just like looking at the roadmap every week, it's just a bit frustrating to see like, oh, okay, so our new location this time is just we're giving it another facelift. So I completely agree and understand that it is different people, but I mean, to see that constantly enter the roadmap when there's things coming that we all know are coming and would like, but those aren't the things being listed. So
yeah, definitely. So we are listening to you in the chat, by the way, and it's quite funny actually, because I think we're going to get quite a few decent points in our chat as well. And Ehawk said, I feel like they've just scrapped the current roadmap at the moment until either SitCon or the new year comes about, which I think is kind of...
New year, because they haven't said anything about CitizenCon.
No, exactly, yeah. I mean, CitizenCon might be,
nothing.
A drop in the ocean of what it would have been. I wonder if they'll do anything. I
would have thought they would have announced it by now.
Yeah, I mean, we're really close. So... yeah, it is quite worrying. And Noobify said, we need a pillar talk, we need a burn down, we need an update to the Squadron 42 timeline, we need to see Vulkan API, we need iCache, we need information from Chris Roberts, we need volumetric farts added in 3.11.
I'm up for that. I keep everyone happy.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
That's a gas tech thing.
Yeah, it's definitely that's
tier 0.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think that might even be tier 1. I'm not sure. That's very advanced. But yeah,
what would a freelancer can do with a volumetric fart?
Yeah, It is quite mental. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot missing from the game at the moment, and it only seems to be getting kind of more and more sparse each patch. But I mean, like Jag did say, I mean, there is some plus sides to all these negatives. I mean, we got the new flight model, and I think that in itself is worth quite a few of these on this list, because it has made flying around the verse a lot more interesting. These sorts of things. I think there's always a yin and a yang. I just think that currently Chris Roberts has a massive yang. And there you go. But yeah, so on that bombshell, yeah, should we move on?
I don't know. Has anyone else got anything else to throw out there for this? Zero, you're sitting at the back there, quite quiet. What's going on?
Behaving himself.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, from their logic, we all know that they'll manage to maybe squeeze a ship out at some point that they have hidden, and that will probably be the CitizenCon excitement they can develop as well.
Yeah, that's basically what Noob Fighters just said here. Sitcom will be a series of videos on YouTube and a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
5-minute videos, not really giving you much information.
Yeah, kind of alluding to something and then showing you some footage of something you've already seen.
Yeah.
And if I was going to ask for one thing, is for them to focus on actually working on the meshing that they pulled back on. Because everything else is waiting for that, really, isn't it? A lot of these things, even bringing new things in, they can't, because it's not able to cope with it. So they really need to improve the socks and get whatever they're developing working, so that everything else can have more room.
Definitely.
So if I was to pick one thing that they should focus on, it'd be that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we will expect to see in this digital CitizenCon is the long-awaited Squadron 42 video.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get it.
No.
I think they'll tease it, and then we'll be waiting right to the end of CitizenCon, and then Chris Roberts will come out and go, okay, bye, and that'll be it. And
he'll say, by the way, we're going to go to beta next year, and we'll all be sitting there yeah, mate, we've heard that one before.
Yeah, I can't wait for that second beta. Oh wait, what?
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. I don't know.
With that video, though, I feel they've backed themselves a bit into a corner, because the truth is, when it does release, if it ever does release, the response is just going to be rage. That's all that's going to happen to it, as to why it's taking so long, or what is this? There's no winning at this stage for them.
No, they can't win it. No.
Yeah, it's the CIG Waylo, isn't it? That they have such a good idea of something. They go, right, this is going to be amazing. All the backers are going to love it. Then they figure out a way to make us annoyed by them doing it. That's kind of their special ability. And yeah, it's mad. I think everyone, when this video comes out, is going to go, well, that isn't good enough now. This should be like a feature-length film, by the time we get it. So I don't know.
CIG, the largest internet troll.
Oh dear, it's crazy. And this video, by the way, is going to be quite all over the place. Even though we're going to talk about a post, we are going to kind of wander, because I am going to talk about stuff that people are talking about in the comments. And Atlas Rowan says, I want personally, I want gaming news outlets to apply more pressure on CIG instead of Kotaku UK rehashing ancient articles and stuff like that. Agreed. Yeah, there's big gaming news outlets that could put a lot of pressure onto them, and they don't. It's really, I mean, you've had the BBC and people covering it, but it's normally really sort of...
they're puff pieces, though.
Yeah, exactly. They're half-arsed. And I mean, if they wanted to, they could really put the screws in,
Well, the thing is about the project, I mean, I've said this a number of times, that this is an unusual project in that, the people who are in receipt of over $300 million of backers' money don't seem to have the same kind of levels of accountability that you'd normally expect. We don't, as backers, have a seat around the table. We can't go and bang a fist on the table and ask for answers and clarity and delivery dates. What we have is this nebulous voice in the community, and occasionally, things get incredibly salty because people get frustrated. So people like Shui stand up and give this list of things, in a cold tone that seem to have been temporarily removed and not delivered back in again. The reason they're doing that is because they're trying to shake the tree and get somebody to say something. And I just think it's actually the biggest flaw in this project is the lack of accountability around it. And I know I've kind of trawled around wondering, well, who's going to speak up for us when the roadmap gets obliterated? And, looking at streamers, well, it's not really streamers' responsibility to do that, is it? They've got to provide content. Well, can backers do it? Can they organise? Well, not really. And for $300 million to kind of be floating around after 8 years, wondering where the communication is, I just find it extraordinary, frankly. But it's the weird model that we have.
So, okay, coming off of that, I'm not sure if you're much aware of how EVE do things, but they have this council of players that get nominated into their position, who are kind of the voices of the community. Mm-hmm. Would that be a thing that could do Star Citizen some good, or is that just too open to idiots getting elected? I don't know.
Would it be better than what we've got now, which is nothing?
Probably. Might be. I mean, there's no guarantee it would actually change anything, but at least we would have like a face, someone who could kind of get those questions out there into the ears that need to hear them, and maybe, possibly get an answer back.
You said face, so I thought Dirk Benedict immediately. Let's get him on board.
I could see that happening. Yeah. So, any other points you guys want to make on this one?
No, I'm good.
Tumbleweeds. Oh, go on.
Useless one. But the two things that I kind of want, and again, it's like the body dragging that was implemented, that, I mean, we found a use for it, but that's not quite what I think they intended it being used for.
No.
It's the 0G pull and push, because I'm really tired of like going into a huge fit every time I bump into a crate while EBAing around a wreck. And the magnetic boots, which isn't even on his list in this post.
I know, that's sad.
From the roadmap. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree. It's puff stuff, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily essential, but it would make a big difference to people's lives. And I just like the idea of mag boots, to be able to be a little bit more grounded when you're moving around on the outside of like a carrack or something, rather than bumping into everything and accidentally pressing shift and going into the side of a ship at like 1,000 miles an hour, stuff like that. So.
And not being able to enter Cutlass Reds for some reason whatsoever.
Basically, just literally spending 10 minutes falling on your face or arse.
Yep.
Basically, so yeah, definitely.
It has become more fatal as well. I've been going on like the empty ships where you find the dead bodies, and it's, you can bump your head and die, just one little bump.
Oh yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah,
I don't remember being that evil before.
They've like replaced the deadly ladder on a freelancer with just the deadly back of any ship now. God forbid you try and enter a ship, you will die. So,
the deadly pixel.
Yeah. Oh dear. All right, so moving on then. So, next up, we've got a post from Ace Hearn, and it says, every roadmap update pulls more people away from this mess. So, I'll read a bit of this. So, it's been a long time backer, like a lot of people in the community, poured more money than he should have. However, these roadmap updates are becoming a joke now. Every month, things are removed, pushed back, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of along the same sort of lines, pretty much. So CIG really need to get their arse in gear and get content out every 3 to 6 months at least. All we have is eye candy, beautiful ships, beautiful cities, beautiful planets, but absolutely nothing to do, basically. So, yeah, really, we're kind of along the same sort of lines. That, yeah, we're kind of lacking now. This was a point that I wanted to make actually the last time we played, was that you guys probably don't realise this, but before every stream, we'll spend many hours scratching our heads trying to figure out, right, what do we do tonight? Because there's only so many times that you can do the very limited game mechanics, and make it interesting, basically.
That's the key there. Is a lot of streamers tend to basically just do trading, which has got to be the most boring content ever devised for a stream. It's just horrible. You're just going backward and forward. You're not doing it. You might as well just not play it and just chat, because that might be even more interesting. Yeah. At least your focus is on chatting rather than
do a big face.
Do a big face. Yeah.
I was thinking you want to open a book, so when you're doing trading, you open a book and as to whether you're going to get 30k or not. What's you doing a trade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant maybe just open a book and read to the people whilst you're doing it. I was like, that might be more interesting too. Yeah.
Once upon a time in Stanton.
Yeah. So I mean, I love the fact as well that if you actually look at the comments and stuff, it was like White Knights incoming. I haven't read the. Go on.
There's a whole branch of just people talking about White Knighting and the meaning of the term, and it's like, really, you're taking up a whole thing just for this? Jesus,
I love it. The comments in Spectrum always get just overrun by people having an argument about something off topic that no one cares about, and you're like, I spend most of my time in Spectrum just going minimize, and then oh look, there you go, CIG White Knights logo, lovely. Minimize, but oh my god, every time I minimize there's some new thing. Shit posting intensifies. Minimize, right, there we go. But yeah, so I think we've covered this kind of pretty much anyway, but I mean, I think that we've been saying it for the longest possible time now, that if they're not going to give us the things we want, like salvaging, all the gameplay loops that we want, then making something pretty is fine, but it's not good enough, really, after a long time. You're just used to it being pretty. What we really need to see from them, and I think everyone will agree, is more content outside of the game, something to get us all energized again. Because do you remember long ago, in a land far, far away, when they used to bring a video out and they'd show us some incoming tech from something, and everyone would go, wow, I can't wait. And you don't really kind of get that much anymore. I mean, they've shown us throwing, and stuff. There's not really much to kind of get people enthused anymore. What do you guys think about that?
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that. That Camral posted a video wondering where the room venting tech had gone, and it was a really interesting video because he inserted into it an old around the verse, and they had Chad McKinney on there talking about this is how it works. We've got this gas here, that gas there. We're talking about gas again. Look, and how they opened up rooms and gas vented and stuff, and how it could be used as a mechanic. And then Camera went on to do his own testing around it. But that around the verse was about 100 times more interesting than, I hate to say it, any of the content that they're putting out at the moment. And the post itself, there's a line in it where the guy says, effectively, where is it? It's vanishing in front of my eyes. But it's all graphical content. This reinforces what we say. It's very graphical. There's just not enough game loops in the game. And like you say, we need more information in lieu of that to kind of keep us fired up. Because at the moment, it's like a bit of a deflating balloon, unfortunately.
Yeah. Around the same time, they were talking about putting some kind of power source in the outposts, and you would have to find a way to power the outpost on if you wanted to use it. Admittedly, not the biggest amount of gameplay content there, but at least it's kind of something. And again, that's just something that's vanished. The power units are in the outposts, that you just can't do anything with it, and it's just something that they kind of mentioned and then dropped again.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of comments at the moment. Obviously, Noobify's still talking about volumetric farts, as you do, because you've got to keep that dream alive. But yeah, there's for example, we've got JS here says I'm Evo, and I left this game about 6 months ago. I used to really support it with all my heart, but it just became obvious that there is no complete vision. And we talked about this last week about, do you back the game, do you back the vision?
Yeah.
And yeah, I have these moments. I vape, and I'll be outside my work having a vape in the car park in the sun, and like it will just kind of, I have all these thoughts about this game. And the thought I had today was, do you think that the vision that they have for this game is complete? Do you think that when Chris Roberts looks to the future at the vision of what he wants for this game, that it is an actual complete vision? Or do you think that they've gotten themselves into quite a muddle now, and in order to visualize this, you need to be schizophrenic? Because you know, it must be really hard to see to try and imagine what this end result's now going to look like. Do you know what I mean? That's my fear, is that maybe their vision's a little bit skewed now. I don't know.
I think they're just flying by the seat of their pants. But let's hear what the other guys think.
I think it's Chris's nature. He sees something new that he can add. He goes, "Oh, I'll have that in there as well." So it's very hard to draw a line, because he's always seeing something else, and the technology is always moving on. At the speed startup system moves at, there's technology coming in that gives a new possibility, and so there's no fine line, there's no finish line. He's always seeing something else that he wants to put in there. That's my fear of the way Chris thinks, anyway, which there's some evidence for.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Kind of interesting, like when The Mandalorian came out, there was lots of, you know, they wanted to make bounty hunting gameplay like The Mandalorian, and then they started showing Mandalorian type armor and helmets, and they kind of took their inspiration for what was hot at the time. So I don't know if anyone's seen the new Dune trailer that just came out. I kind of wonder about when they're going to start showing us some Dune inspired stuff.
The old sandworms.
Yeah, oh, the sandworms. Jag knows all about those. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, though. I mean, and that's the problem. Like you said, the pace that they move at compared to the pace of technology and all this other stuff, you're going to constantly be in that horrible sort of momentum where you're just behind the trends, and so something happens, you go, now that's cool, we should get on that. And then that's just adding yet another facet that they've got to try and figure out where to place, how to use, you know, that kind of thing. And I just think, yeah, they're probably gotten themselves into a situation where they've bitten off a bit more than they can chew.
This goes back to the roadmap thing, though, doesn't it? We should have an in picture of what we're trying to achieve, and all the elements that are feeding into that, and then every update, every release should have a subset of features that contribute towards that overall vision that should be clearly illustrated as part of the overall plan. We shouldn't be in a position where we're having things kind of shuffle in and then frequently shuffle out, but not really know whether it advances the project or not. Communication, yet again.
Yeah. It's always what we come back to on this channel is, come on,
right.
Well, what everyone comes back to, communication.
Yep.
Yes. Anyone else want to have a moan?
What ties into that is my other fear that this slow movement, well, they're making a fortune. So most companies are driven at some deeper level by the finances, and financially, this slow, you know, despite all the things we're just complaining about being dropped, the ship sales don't reflect that. The money that's coming in doesn't reflect that. So they haven't got any motivation to worry about those things, because the money is flowing in. Whatever they're doing, the money's coming and it's working. And so that, you know, like I say, that there's always, in any company, there's always a big, you know, controlling factor is how the finances are working. And they're working great. So they don't need to do anything.
That's it. If it ain't broken, you know, essentially, and I think that's where they're at. They're churning money, and they don't have to do anything anymore, really. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Is that it feels a little bit like they're at that position where even if they were to get it completely wrong, people still give them money, and so they're kind of win-win, really. and you see it in the comments. The general consensus is that most people, Noobify puts it well, basically the veterans of the game have kind of lost interest a bit now, and you see it in our Discord that, you know, a lot of people who would just bang on it all the time aren't anymore. You know, you might see them on maybe once a week or twice a week. You know, it's definitely, I think, lost its sheen for a lot of players.
Yeah, and it's not like CIG really need to do anything to get them back. They've already got their money.
Well, they've you know, engineered mechanics such that it's weighted towards new money, isn't it? And
yeah,
you know, people typically will have a limit as to how much they're going to pledge into the project. So that means new backers. You know, with you know, war bond purchases and tilting towards LTI for war bond and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. If they come out with new ships and what have you, if you're an old backer, you've got old money, you can't recycle that as efficiently as, you know, somebody who can come in with new money and buy that for cheaper, effectively. So it does seem to me that yeah, maybe their viewers are just going to accept that churn and keep on rolling on. It's not to say they're deliberately stalling development, because that's a scandalous thing to say, and you know, I'm sure none of us believe that. But at the same time, it's how comfortable does it make their lives knowing they've got all that money coming in, and how much does it take away from the impetus to, you know, strike out and maybe throw out a few tier zeros and get things moving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, JRDW says it really well. It's fundamentally our responsibility as backers to withhold carrot and administer stick. CIG don't have a client who would otherwise do just that. And that's exactly it. I mean, as backers, we do, you know, we have all the carrots. You know, if, like we've said, I think a million times now, that, yeah, if backers just kind of went, yeah, I'm going to hold off buying that new ship or whatever it is for a month or 2 months or 3 months, they would eventually feel it in the pocket and realise, hang on, we are vulnerable, you know.
The only problem with that, though, is the way that some backers think. Because, I mean, if you go back and look at the Invictus Week, right, they made a massive fudge up with that one at the beginning when all the servers were crashing. And, I mean, it took me like 3 or 4 days to actually be able to even enter the game.
Yeah.
It's one of their most financially successful months ever. And it's just like, you know, so yeah, we really do hold the power to you know, we can take away the carrot, but the thing is, just with the way that a lot of backers are going, it doesn't seem like anybody's actually going to do that.
No, I don't think they've got it in them. I think that a majority, 97% of backers can't help themselves. Like crack addicts, basically. Like, more ships. Trying to just shove pictures of ships up our noses. Like, please, more PNGs.
I think your percentage might be a bit exaggerated.
It might be a tiny bit. I've got to exaggerate every now and then. You know, I'm a man. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. So Atlas Rowan says, thoughts on Chris Roberts' absence. He doesn't really mind, since his sole purpose seems to be overcomplicating everything. But what do you guys think about the fact that we haven't seen him for... Well, I mean, technically, we haven't seen him since CitizenCon, because all the videos that we've seen have been from CitizenCon. So what do you guys think of that?
I think the thing is he's gotten so distracted by all the feature creep that he's found himself working on a documentary that has nothing to do with Star Citizen, and that is why we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I don't know how many people in the chat might have seen that, but it came to light. Where did that come from? Whose Discord?
It was ours. Someone in our Discord.
No, it came from someone else's, I think, but someone posted it in ours.
Okay.
Basically, Chris Roberts has been credited in a documentary on something. I can't remember what it was now. What was it?
Not Star Citizen.
No, it was something else.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's basically
it was a documentary called Chasing the Equinox. I think it was released in I thought it was a 2018, 2019 production, off the top of my bonds.
Oh, was it?
So, yeah, I don't know what the impact really would have been.
Essentially, he took some time out from Star Citizen to go and do a documentary.
Yeah, makes sense. You know, when you're at your most crucial time for this game, pretty much. Yeah, I'm just gonna have a break, sit on my yacht, film something. That's what I imagine, anyway. But yeah, you're polishing up that turd. But yeah, it's. I'm not saying this game's a turd. Just for anyone who hasn't seen the previous video where we talk about the turd polishing. But yeah, but yeah, I think that it's. Yeah, we're at that point now where I think that it would be beneficial for him to step out of the shadows and say, look, sorry, I was busy with filming, but I'm back now and I'm ready to, like, you know, get my hands dirty. Noob5 said, shall I try that again? Take two, because obviously this isn't live. Noob5 says, either he is purposefully being ignorant to the community, or he is very busy and being ignorant to the community.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
I
don't know.
I was going to say I find it a bit strange. The man who got in the cockpit of the Hornet and talked about, you know, this game and what he's looking for from us and how he's kind of launching the vision of this game. For him to go as silent as he has for the last year, I didn't think he has just gone off the boil or kind of switched off or been distracted. I just find it. I don't know. I just find it very odd because he's been so absolutely radio silent. It's been, but I guess time will tell.
Do you reckon there's a possibility that something terrible happened, like one of the devs snapped and killed him, and they're just covering it up? He's like, I need more tech, more, and they're like, I can't take it anymore.
Power.
No, I doubt that, and we hope not. But yeah, I think come on, Chris Roberts. We know you're one of the 30 people watching. You know you are. Come, just jump in chat and let us know what's going on, mate.
I was going to say one of the greatest skills he showed, like that I see, was at last CitizenCon when he came on and spoke. He's got a real genuine charisma, and you at least believe that he's really driven by this whole project and really into it and wants to give something to everyone. Now, if that's a false persona, I don't know, but I'm sure, you know, his route of doing it is genuine, and he convinced a lot of people at that very moment when he was there doing that presentation. So surely doing a video like that would help the whole project, even if it's not saying anything, but just reiterating his enthusiasm for it all and what they, you know, generally what they're striving for. But it seems weird that he won't do that.
That's essentially what the Pillar Talk videos are. It's just them getting on camera and going, we're doing stuff in the background. We haven't got it ready yet, but we're doing stuff. Honest. And that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
But seeing as they haven't done one since CitizenCon, it's a bit weird. Yeah, it is a bit weird that we haven't seen him.
And because there's been so much negativity as well.
You would have thought they'd do a Pillar Talk to reassure people, but they haven't even bothered doing that.
Like any CEO usually comes on to reassure everyone that the company's doing fine.
Yeah, I think probably they just think the money speaks for itself. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I think? I think they recorded a Pillar Talk at CitizenCon for 3.10, but because the roadmap changed so fucking much, they can't release it because they don't talk about anything that's actually in 3.10.
Yeah, probably. That's hilarious and probably true. That's scary, isn't it?
They probably thought they were being really clever, recording all the episodes in advance, like a year in advance, and then it doesn't pan out that way.
But that proves their overconfidence in their own product. I think a lot of the time, I think that they, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, because touching on what you were saying, Zero, Chris Roberts, I genuinely believe that there's no falseness to him at all. When you see him talk, that is genuine excitement. I think he genuinely wants this to work the way we want it to and the way he wants it to. The problem is that there's so much money involved, and the scope is just getting beyond ridiculous. And you know, like you said, they thought they could hedge their bets, you know, by recording 3 videos in one. And I think they're overly confident in their abilities to produce. Maybe that's my feeling anyway. Maybe they just need to take a step back and have a look at the roadmap as it exists, what we see, and realise that we're down to like peanuts now.
And anyone that wants to use the current global situation as an excuse for, oh no, they can't get together and do a pillar talk. I mean, they've been having the calling all devs and all of that. Like, I mean, it's what people have been saying a lot of the time. We don't need fancy visuals or them sitting around with this fantastic cinematography or anything. It's just you can have a already pre-recorded Skype session with the people doing all the talks and stuff, and just get something out.
Yeah, definitely. Right, we're going to pause there for 2 seconds while I do this. Otherwise, editing that will be a bitch. Right, so I think that's enough moaning about the roadmap. That's an hour of moaning about the roadmap. Let's move on. So, here we go. Next up, we've got a post from Foxy, and it says, ISC, do you see what I see? Now, I read that, do you see what I see? Or something along those lines. Seems like a hull is hiding within the cargo storage. Top left timestamp 640. I was going to find the video, but I'm really crap with OBS, and this would all go pear-shaped. You'd end up seeing my porn tabs or something, so we won't do that. With a cargo... Yeah, again, sorry. With a cargo update and docking, maybe, just maybe. So, what did you guys think of ISC? Did you see what he saw?
If you actually open that image that he has, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's
Don't make me open images, because
you don't have to open anything, because then everything is going to go wrong, and you're going to blame it on me, which is fair enough. Because I'm the one saying opening images.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on my mouse if it will let me whilst I'm actually doing this. There we go. Oh, so up there,
top left corner, looks like a little silver dildo.
Yeah, there you go.
Like an elongated freelancer. So
yeah, it looks phallic like everything else in this game.
Yeah. So what was the question? ISC. Yes. Grenade launchers are going to be the new meta weapon, in my opinion. They just look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be walking around with a grenade launcher, because why not?
Yeah, it's basically have a bigger stick than the man next to you. That's just the rule of thumb. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and suddenly Star Citizen becomes Grand Theft Auto Online.
God, yeah.
And yeah, the cargo thing, they look kind of cool. Yeah, okay. That's about it, really.
Yeah, it's another one of those videos where it's fine. They showed us some new stuff, but I haven't seen a video from Star Citizen, I think, for at least a year, not counting CitizenCon, where I've actually gone, oh wow. Maybe a couple, and they were probably actually the streams they do, because sometimes they're just more interesting, and then sometimes they're dull as anything. I don't know. Their videos just shock me most times with how little content there is. So I don't know. What do you guys think of the possibility that is a hull hiding? Do you agree?
I think that is a hull hiding, but I think that doesn't mean anything for the ship being released or entering. No. I mean, if you look back to even CitizenCon from last year, the whole pyro thing wasn't even really a real thing.
No.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be miles off anyway. And it's funny, actually, again, Noobify chimes in with the perfect comment, but he says, do we care about the whole sea? We need bug fixes, missions, and mechanics. It's basically, we couldn't have said it better ourselves, basically.
The only thing the whole sea's going to do is going to break the economy even more than it already is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of ship that needs to go from system to system. You need multiple systems, really, for a whole sea, surely. I mean, you're not going to be doing inter-system trade, or are you, with that kind of shit? I don't know.
Some will.
And we were saying before, even if they bring it in, there'll be the whole sea, and there'll be those pretty pictures of cargo, but it won't work. There won't be any function of it. So you'll just have that ship that won't do anything.
So that's the overriding question I got at the moment about all the kind of cargo deck stuff and everything around that. Is I've seen a lot of visuals and graphics, but I still not got a clear picture of what it is we're going to be able to do with it and when. And I don't know if I'm missing something, so I don't want to badmouth what the project are doing. But I mean, has it been made clear to anybody, or?
They talked about missions, and trading will be done at the docking stations. But yeah, other than that, they haven't actually shown the mechanics of it. They kind of hinted that they were going to use this new inventory system that they've been working on to sort of manage your cargo on the ship. I guess they kind of hinted at it, but again, didn't confirm anything or show anything. So I think at this point, anyone's guess is good.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah. God forbid. Atlas Rowan says, I'm only interested in hearing about the hull if it's part of an update on morphing physics grids. Because obviously that's the other problem, is that there's a lot of things that need to be working in order for, like you said, those ships to be useful. And so you could, it's chicken and egg situation where they're always trying to push out. I think they're always trying to conjure up a chicken without the egg. If that makes sense. Don't ask me where that egg came from, though, because I'll have no answer. But yeah, it's a tricky one, you know. And yeah, I think that there's no real point in pushing out a ship like that currently. I just think we need more stuff.
Because also, I think if they pushed it out at this point, it would be another Carrack and Reclaimer situation where it's like, oh, this ship's supposed to do this, but then the claw doesn't work, and the antennas and the blast canopy don't work, and it's just like, oh no, we'll add this later, and then you never hear about it again.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't think it's quite necessary at this point.
Yeah, there'll just be whole seas flying around with no freight on them.
No, just pad ramming or something, because they're huge. We might as well. Yeah. I mean, Dan Watt says basically the same thing, that, you know, the whole sea is basically a giant bug fix, you know, because there's a lot of things they'll have to fix in order for that ship to work. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe if they do really push the whole sea out, they'll have no choice but to make some of those things work. But I don't think they will. I think that we'll just end up with a ship that doesn't work. That's it.
Like the Reclaimer.
Yeah, like a lot of the ships. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I was going to say,
no, I insist.
Sorry. In a strangely positive thing, though, we've looked at the flight thing and moaned about how it was going this way and that, and this way and that, and suddenly they turned out this whole new system in this patch that seemed to come from almost nowhere, where it is working. So they do sometimes deliver things that we're not quite expecting, and it's working really well.
I kind of think that they were kind of working on it in the background because it wasn't on the roadmap. They were just working on it in the background. They realised that they're going to have to push loads of features from 3.11, and they thought, shit, what can we put in to make it look like there's something in the patch? What have you got? Yeah. And the guys went, oh, we got this inventory thing. It's kind of working. We could try that. And they were like, yeah, put it in there. Done.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll find out when it goes in. If it works, then then you're wrong. If it doesn't, then you're right.
Yeah. Can you imagine the bugs that's going to come in with that thing? The inventory thing.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be horrific.
I really love how we've kind of segued back onto the roadmap discussion.
Yeah. Well, the roadmap always comes up. I mean, Dan's just mentioned it as well. Didn't they release the Cutlass Blue without it even being on the roadmap or anything? Yeah, that was a surprise. They just kind of went, ha ha. So yeah, it does happen. It does make me laugh. It's like a lot of the time, I think with that patch, what you were saying, it's kind of a South Park reference. It's the Wookiee defense. Yeah, so it's you know, look at the monkey, look at the silly monkey. You know, they're just trying to sort of like kind of just divert. You know, they're like, no, the patch isn't light. What are you talking about? Look at this. So and we gave it 4 cow faces. So you know, what can you do? But yeah, no, it's funny. It is funny how easily I think people are swayed. Like, for example, I guarantee half the internet is going crazy that there's a picture of a whole sea somewhere, and they're like, it's in there. We can touch it and lick it.
We'll buy it.
Yeah, we'll give you double. I want it now. Yeah, I don't know. Crazy. Right. Anything else on that, guys?
Not without going back down the rabbit hole of jumping on the roadmap. So
yeah, definitely. All right, well let's move on to our last, final, and most awesome post, because the person that wrote this post is very dear to our heart. But it did have upvotes. Look, we're not just being favouted. So the last post up tonight is from our very own Jag Hiroshi, and it says, "I love the Cutlass Blue, but this marketing nonsense needs to stop." So basically, the Cutlass Blue is probably the ship I spend most time in when in game. Lots of arguments about whether it met the brief or not, but regardless, I love it. However, seeing this marketing nonsense in the weekly update email drives me mad. So I don't know if I can. Yeah, there we go. So basically, they're essentially kind of pushing features of this ship which are kind of bollocks.
Not true.
Really. Yeah. I mean, there's no one's going to explain this better than the man who wrote it. So Jag, tell us your thoughts on this. Tell us what made you go on Spectrum and like throw fingers at keys.
I think it was a Saturday. I woke up, cracker sparrows, and I don't have Facebook, so I checked my email instead. That's what old people do. And I read the email and scrolled down. I thought, "Oh, Cutlass Blue." And when I read the text, I thought, "Well, that's bollocks." And the more I thought about it, I had that shower moment. I just thought, "This is ridiculous." I love the ship. I think it's brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. The new kind of flight model, and with the combat changes and things, I think they're heading in the right direction. Still lots of edge cases for them to iron out and stuff like that. And I've really enjoyed, the turret work with this ship. But you could do it in a Cutlass Black, in fairness, because when you take a look at this, there's some terminology used in that. The uprated weapons, they're not. There's nothing uprated about them. There are lots of arguments about, whether distortion weapons are somehow uprated. I don't think they are, and it ignores the point that they're not specific to the Cutlass Blue. You could put them on any ship that can take size 2 gimbal or size 3 weapons. So that is just marketing guff that sexes up the ship. And then the whole point about the QED itself is I've extensively tested it, and Zero and I were testing it again in 3.10.2. And regardless of how you look at it, it's a token deployment that is there to give the ship an attribute, a saleable attribute, that doesn't actually carry through to the game. You can't, unless, for bounty hunting, unless all your crims are flying around in a caterpillar, you're not going to jam anybody, because it's got a 2K radius. Yeah. And, not just is the radius very small, the activation is via inner thought, and it's a 2-step activation. You have to go through power it on, go through activate, and then somehow stop that Gladius from whipping off into the distance. And it just kind of, it irritated me, frankly. And I thought I'd have to say something about it. I was a bit surprised it got as many reactions as it did, to be honest.
No, I think it's fair. And I've got to read the end, because I do love your closing remarks. I think the developers and artists in this game do amazing work, and I'm continually stunned by what's delivered, and then marketing get a hold of it. Which it's exactly true, and we've always complained about the fact that they don't seem to understand. It's almost like they've got some sort of external marketing team that don't really know the game or have no love for the game. That their sole job is to just try and sell stuff, which is, it's kind of what they do. And it doesn't work for this game. The marketing team need to be bang on point when it comes to what they're selling and who they're selling to, because trying to essentially pull the wool over backers' eyes with fancy words and this sort of guff is stupid, because we're all very knowledgeable about this game. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
I have to pull you up. You said it's not working. Clearly it is, because the amount of money they made at the last free flight event was astronomical.
Oh god!
So they must be doing something right.
Yeah, I changed my words. Not working. Not pick a good word, DBC. It is not acceptable.
Yeah.
It definitely fucking works, because my good god, If I had 10% of their money, the sheer amount of hookers and heroin I could do. But I don't do hookers or heroin. But yeah, it's mad.
There was an interesting comment in there that somebody said, I take it that this is the marketing speak from the brochure. And they have this way of peddling things through the manufacturer and the voice of the manufacturer. And therefore, you get away with what the manufacturer might feasibly say in that, mythical scenario as if they were a real entity. But the truth of the matter is, that's what they're using to market the products. And then you get stuff like this turn up in post where they're kind of blurring the technicolor, I think, between what they're trying to sell and what these kind of fake company brochures are alluding to sometimes. And the whole marketing thing has just become a big, weird mess as far as I'm concerned. I just like honesty about, the technical capabilities of the things they're selling. And, for them to kind of be a bit straighter about it and not use this kind of uprated in terms like that, which actually meaningless. Uprated against what? A sprout? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you say, that's quite a shrewd way of giving them a get-out clause, though, isn't it? They say, "Oh no, we didn't mean that. It's just what the in-game in the actual verse would be saying." Whereas, but it is spiel that people were looking at, so it's quite a shrewd way of doing it.
Yeah, it's very crafty, very, very crafty. It's funny actually because I was just reading the comments, and Dan says the lack of self-awareness by certain sections of CIG is worrying and staggering at times. And then Craig says, "But isn't marketing Mrs. Roberts?" Not anymore. Yeah, it does make me laugh. And I have lost my chat. Oh no, it's back. There we go. Yeah, so it is quite funny, and Vic says any other industry would be ripe for false advertising lawsuits.
Yep.
But CIG marketing hides behind the alpha tag.
Well, I've got to say, I think there's something much, much deeper about this. And this is what I really care about is digital assets. And, in this industry, when we're talking about 300 million generated here, these assets can be manipulated and changed at any given time. And I think, I don't know what the laws are around this, consumer laws are around this, but it's a very weird place to be in. And I just think you've got to start by being very clear about what you're giving to people. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, but I just say you've got to be very clear about people and not be too I don't want to say they're being deliberately misleading, but you just need to be bang on the money.
Yeah, I think that they have this ability, which they've done a million times when they've sold a ship as one thing, and then after the fact they've changed it, and they say, well, it doesn't matter because it's a fluid game. These things will change. But you think, I bought that for it's like if you went to if someone said to you, "Oh, we're bringing out this new LG TV. It's going to be amazing. It's this. You can pre-order it now, buy it now," and you buy it, and then when it comes out, it doesn't have a screen. You're like, well, that's shit and won't work for me. And they're like, yeah, but we've got every right to change it. It's in flux. That's their go-to for most of this stuff, is that they can change it without any concern for the backers, or amend stuff and all that, and essentially missell it without really any negative effects on them, other than us moaning about it. Basically,
to take that analogy further, it'd be like, yeah, it hasn't got a screen, but it's going to project hologram in 20 years' time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got a coming soon bit over the hologram function. Yeah, you have to keep an eye on the roadmap for LG for that. Yeah, no, it is crazy. But I mean, they did it a little bit with the Cutlass Red. Because obviously they sold that with spawnability and all the cool stuff, and then they kind of went, actually, we've kind of done a wrong in here because the bigger ships won't have bigger features than the smaller ships, and so now you're going to essentially have the lowest budget bed you're going to get, sort of thing. but that wasn't really explained. You know, that's the problem, is that was probably their plan all along, and it makes sense in my head when I think about it, but it's not what was agreed up front, you know, and it's a bit ropey.
That lack of clarity, I mean, it goes back to the pledge store with all the ships in it. I mean, how much of that information could you count on?
None of it.
Just as a basic. So yeah, but very unclear throughout. I think so. When they are talking about these things, they've just got to give you open and honest information.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that pledge story is just a nightmare to try and navigate. And I think actually Noobify did a pretty good video on that, with the argument of like how confusing it is with all the different versions of, you know, Warbond and LTI, and you can buy this package but you can't buy that package, and all this crap.
Yeah,
it's just so confusing for someone coming in fresh from the outside. They look at that thing and just go, like, what the fuck? What's going on here?
I think we actually covered that on one of our sort of noob. Yeah, because we were saying that, you know, as a noob, if you come into this game like unfamiliar, that place is a minefield. What on earth? Did you guys hear that? Oh, there's like a dogfight going on outside my house. Awesome. But yeah, it's a minefield for new players, because I mean, I still find it a little bit confusing now, you know, but I'm stupid. But yeah, as Noobify says, that video was enough is enough, and I agree, enough is enough. You know, it's ridiculous.
I'm still a bit confused. I mean, the buyback tokens, I still haven't really figured them out. We're constantly seeing people, especially in our Discord, where they're like chopping and changing different ships every 5 minutes using buyback tokens, and I still don't really understand all that crap. And I don't really want to get involved in it. I don't want to sink down to that. It's a bit crazy.
Yeah. Noobify said it got worse with Warbond LTI. Yeah, definitely. And not to touch on the roadmap again, but JRDW says that basically you wouldn't get away with that if you had a client. So speaking as an employee of one of the big 4 tech consultancy firms, a client wouldn't tolerate, you know, musical roadmap, false advertising, marketing, that sort of stuff. Whereas, again, they can just get away with it because there really is no one to answer to. I mean, they've got... the backers don't mean anything, really. They're just cash cows. But they do have... what do you call them? People who throw money at you for stuff. Not backers. Investors, my good God, people. This is what happens on a normal Spectrum drama. And this is why it takes so much editing. They've got investors. But I genuinely think that those investors, really, so long as they keep making money, they couldn't give a shit, really, you know, how they treat everyone else. So yeah, they're kind of get out free jail card, get out of jail, free jail for everyone. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about now.
You get a jail, you get a jail.
You get a jail. They have very effective lawyers. Yeah, I agree. They are basically untouchable, I think, as a company at the moment, and they know it. So, rant over.
Anyway, back to the Blue.
Back to the Blue. The Blue is an awesome ship. In fact, I want to point something out. If we scroll right down in the comments, right down, if we just keep going right down into the bowels of hell, right the way down. Wow, it is actually a long way down. I'd just like to point out this comment here. Our very good friend Hodo. Very, very good friend Hodo. It suffers from the same problem as every Cutlass. Oversized and overhyped. Oh, bless him. I love the Cutlasses. The red is my favourite ship. The blue is an awesome ship. The black is an amazing combat ship. I think they've done a great job with the Cutlass line of ships. So but Hodo, come back. We miss you. I'll cut that bit out. Yeah, I'll cut that bit out. We don't mean it.
Bring him back.
Christ. Yeah, only just so I can ban him. The blue is an awesome ship, and I think that it gets, like you said, it gets a lot of hate, kind of really for the same reason we've just been talking about, the fact that it didn't quite hit what they had promised. but it's still a good ship, and people can't seem to get past the fact that it's not quite what they expected, even though it is good. It's weird.
I mean, you can pin that on pretty much any ship that they've released. There's always been something that's changed or not quite as what the concept was. And, the Cutlass Blue is just no different than any other ship. It gets changed during the design process, and this is what it is for now. I'm sure they're going to change various aspects of this as we get further along, but for now, this is what it is, and some people actually enjoy it.
I think some of the rage towards it, though, is a massive misconception that people have when it comes to ships. So even though it didn't quite hit the mark of what it was expected to be, what it was expected to be was never the freelancer Miz. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, that's exactly what it's going to be. And that was not what was promised.
Yeah.
So although it didn't even hit what it was supposed to be, people were just pissed about the fact that it wasn't what they wanted it to be, which it was never going to be. And it's just, I think people need to reassess what each ships are, that there's never going to be the god ship. You use this and it does everything the best over everything. So once you get that, it's game over. And I don't think people realize that quite yet.
I got to admit, I do get the sense that people want the I win button. When they get some of these things, you've got to accept that there's going to be balancing and pros and cons to every ship, and it's got the weakness. I guess the one that everyone gets stressed out about is the one medium shield rather than the two. But I've learned to live with it, and had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Although, do me a favour, everyone. Please don't mention the I win button to CIG, because they know that they can market that shit. What's that? Yes, 25 grand for the I win button, and people would buy it. 100%.
LTI, Ormond.
Yeah. I don't know.
On that point of like how they could easily improve it to be more functional, we were just saying like the 2K range for the quantum dampener. If you put that up to 5 or 6K, would actually give you a chance to actually use it. So, and that's surely just a minor change.
Yeah.
At 2K, it's definitely not going to catch crims in a breeze.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think there's still a lot of work to be done on it, and as is with a lot of the ships, I think they're going to hone them over time. I think a lot of people kind of think that once it's out and in the universe, that's it, it's done. But I mean, we've seen they do reworks, and there's a lot that can be improved on most of the ships in the verse. The Blue, it just happens to be the newest to be moaned about. But I think Atlas says, with the Cutlass Blue, I constantly wonder how players are supposed to load bodies into the rack storage.
Yes, I was just about to say that as well. I don't think they know. That's the problem. They bring out these ships. The Reclaimer's another one, right? They brought out this massive salvage ship, but they have no idea how they're doing salvage at the time. So, are they going to rework the Reclaimer when salvaging comes out? Or are they just going to try and hand wavy them? Magic salvage gets transported from this part of the ship to this part of the ship by magic. What? How is that going to work?
I got the Blue. I think they over-engineered what was in the back of it with those pods. They should have. I mean, it being Drake, it should have just been a series of meat hooks, and you just drag them in. And...
yeah, that would be awesome.
That goes back to the Mandalorian, doesn't it? I think that they kind of saw that the what was it, the Razor Crest.
Yes.
They saw how they did it in that, and they went, "Oh, that's a good idea. We'll do that."
Yeah. I think,
I was seeing. Sorry, I was going to say I was hearing something about the mechanics as well, where you're going to have the option when you get caught by someone of going straight to prison or actually being dragged off there. Who's going to choose to be dragged and then wait for half an hour or so where the other player drags them in, hangs them in, and makes them suffer? I don't know who's going to choose that. I'll go for the humiliation run, please.
There's a few people out there who've got some fetishes. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, to expose myself a little bit here, I will happily do that once VoIP is working, so I can just constantly annoy the flyer while he's flying me off to prison.
Just doing the old dying giraffe sound. Just do that over and over again. They'll soon let you go.
Target him. Just let me. Come on, man. You know you want to. Just do it. It's fine. It's okay.
Please, I'll suck your dick. What? Yeah, no, this... sorry, I always take things too far. It's terrible. Can't cut this shit out, people. But yeah, it's... yeah, it is funny as well, because I love the idea of that, of taking this is going to sound really bad like I do in real life, but taking a human against their will and putting them in a ship when that human's sitting at home at their keyboard just like, no, I don't want to, and you're like, well, you will, because you're a naughty boy. And it's hilarious. I can't wait to see how this all kind of plays out and how it actually works.
I think they've announced, it was in one of the Jump Point editions, that they're going to give players the choice to either hang back and stay there or split out. So, you know, will I just leave the ragdoll behind, or do I wait here in the hope that one of my mates is going to break into the ship and free me? And if they actually do that, that will be a brilliant decision, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got some some clarity, I think, with the Anvil Hawk, where you can log out in what is effectively a bed in the back, the containment pod.
Yeah. That is going to be quite entertaining. Nubify's got best exploit. Have two characters. When one goes to prison, just transfer merits over, change characters, and play the other until the time runs out. That's cheeky. Look at that. What's this? This? Go on.
I was going to say, it sounds like a Red Layer cheat.
Yeah. What's this? Two characters? I don't understand characters. What are you talking about? I live Star Citizen.
I've seen some people have been multi-boxing Star Citizen, which is just mental.
Yeah.
In my yeah. So they're literally he's got one character flying it, and he's got another character in the turret, and he's doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's mad. I mean, you used to see this in games like WoW, where people would have bots and they'd have like 5 characters. It's all them running around, just collecting XP. They weren't doing anything. But in this game, you'd have to like, my good God, you'd be like an octopus, like trying to like two mouse, and you're gonna have to use the keyboard with your penis. I don't know how it's gonna work. Oh, that's mental. I don't know, but yeah. So, anything else on the Cutlass Blue?
No, not from me.
Good. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do then, people, is I'm going to do an outro, just because this is going to be a video, so you get to see the magic. So I'm going to do an outro, and then we'll just carry on chatting until, 10 o'clock, basically. So stick with us, but bear with me, because I have to prepare myself with the deep breath. Right, here we go. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That is all the posts for this week. We hope you liked them. We hope you found them informative or amusing. And if you did like them, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Star Citizen content. And don't forget to get in that comment section and let us know what you think of these posts. Bit of a different video, so yeah, hopefully you like the format for the live stream Spectrum Drama. Probably won't be a regular thing, because it's tiring talking this long. But yeah, it's good fun, and we hope you enjoyed it. And that is pretty much it. So don't forget to check out our streams on Monday and a Tuesday, fingers crossed. We're going to start playing some new games, and Star Citizen on a Thursday, so long as they're not doing a free fly event and ruining our day. Yeah, I think we're good. So thanks you guys for joining us. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we missing a thank you? How rude.
Thank you.
With 0.
Just, we invite you out for the evening, we pay for your dinner, and then this is the thanks I get. But no, thanks very much, guys. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you all very, very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.